up and they fail to understand that this was a free and fair election. He was charged for assault years ago, that's true. If we must look in the mirror, here's looking at you. Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. When they say Ramesh have the solution for crime, so we must put them back in office just one more time. You say,
Tell me.
Tell me.
That's the best place to be. And tell me.
Did somebody say tell me? Then tell me about it.
Tell Me, the most informative program on 2020 Vision Radio with host Carlisle Powell.
In St. Kitts and Nevis, we still can't agree that the parties should have proper debate. Well, any debates. What we have been doing in St. Kitts and Nevis is the old-timeish, antiquated way of politics.
Alongside Dr. Kelvin Daly.
We are saying this smoke needs to be cleared. There's too many unanswered questions, and the government needs to step up.
And Tulu Weeks.
He said the first 5 years, it looked as if he was doing something because Simeon Daniel left the project there and he carried on. And again, 4 divisions.
Come on, everybody. Listen to Tell Me every Thursday from 8 to 10.
You can be a part of this conversation by calling 869-669-7312. Or you can call if you're in the diaspora 917-460-2187 or 766-7312 or 469-7953.
It is indeed an honor to calling on this program to hear such intelligent people speak on different matters.
Tell me.
Tell me.
Tell me.
Tell me?
The most informative and interactive program on 2020 Vision Radio.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
Hi, this is Carlisle Powell, a member of the 2020 Vision family, where we all volunteer our services. We can't do this without you. So please use our Facebook or GoFundMe links and donate now. Your donation will also help us in our quest to be on the FM dial. Please make a donation now.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another edition of Tell Me for Thursday evening, downtown Charlestown, where we're coming to you as usual live. Let me reach out and say good evening to all of our listeners who are with us every single week and who take time to make sure that they listen, call in, and support. And on that note, Dr. Daly, I want to say thank you to a lovely lady who came to my premises earlier today and gave me $100 contribution and said, listen, what you guys are doing, you deserve to stay on the air. This is my contribution. So we're grateful.
That is marvelous.
It is.
And so let me use this time to wish all a happy Thursday as you join us here on in the studio of 2020 Vision Radio. You hear me right?
I'm hearing you, not as clearly as I would like, but I'm hearing you.
Well, let me say good evening to my, yes, better. Let me say good evening to my brother Hugh in St. Croix, and my nephew Nemo, also in St. Croix, my brother Denny in New York, and my sister-in-law Tulla. And of course, she is the queen of the sister-in-law sorority. And all those who have joined the conversation. I see Monica Pemberton is in the house, as well as Tessa Horrell, Angel Nisbet, Caroline Clark, Annette Morton. Thank you for your call today. You really made me feel good. Deacon Owl Jeffers, my brother, Ermine Farrell, and so many more. Hugh Charles, Ruby Walters, Loretta Clark Queeley up there in Florida. We all thank you to join us here this evening. It should be a very interesting show, very informative show as usual, and we always invite your interaction, your feedback as we go through this evening proceedings. But before we get too started, too deep into the conversation, let me wish a very special lady down there in St. Martin, Rhonda, a happy birthday. Today is your Earth Strong Day, and so by tradition, I do have to sing you happy birthday. And so, Rhonda, here goes. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Blessings on you, Rhonda, and we are here in the studio, and those who are viewing, you can see 3 large plates of food. Well, it's food under the foil, courtesy of Rhonda. Today is her birthday, and she decided to give rather than receive. And so we have 3 large plates of food. Carlisle told me there's a lot of relish and all kind of stuff under there. And it is wonderful, Rhonda, that you would have gone this far in your celebration of your birthday. So it is very special for us here in the studio.
And as well, I want to reach out and say happy birthday to Rhonda. You know, I've been calling her from since after 8 this morning. I finally got her almost 8 o'clock tonight. She's been out partying all day. Wow. You know. So we want to wish you happy birthday, Rhonda. And we hope that you continue to celebrate, continue to enjoy your birthday, what's left of it. And as we talk about money, Dr. Daly, you know, we've been saying we want people to send contributions to keep the radio on air. Well, I have a contribution here, which I have to go and pick up tomorrow. Is a $400 contribution.
Wow.
You know, so we want to say thank you very much to Simone for making a contribution. She made a promise and she has kept a promise. And we want to say thank you. I received a check too when I was at the General Council. And because I try not to spend too much money, I didn't go in my wallet until yesterday. And I saw this check folded up, and I went, what's this? When I opened it, it's the $100 check that I received at our General Council meeting, which is a contribution towards keeping 2020 Vision on the year and making sure that we keep our show on the year. What we'll do, we'll take a short break. This break will allow us to welcome our guests and have a properly seated. And when we come back, we're going to have some very good discussions with the leader of the Nevis Reformation Party. We'll be back right after this.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you will never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
Hi, this is Carlisle Powell, a member of the 2020 Vision family, where we all volunteer our services. We can't do this without you. So please use our Facebook or GoFundMe links and donate now. Your donation will also help us in our quest to be on the FM dial. Please make a donation now.
Welcome back to Tell Me. And we now have seated with us Dr. Janice Daniel-Hodge, who is the leader of the Nevis Reformation Party, first female to hold that post in the Nevis Reformation Party. And first of all, Dr. Hodge, welcome. How have you been? How are you doing?
Thank you, Mr. Powell. Happy to be here as usual. I have been doing well, been quite busy. And of course, there is so much going on in our communities, in the various areas that we must deal with. And at this time, I must say that it is a bit troublesome with regards to some of the issues that we must deal with, understanding what governance is all about. And we really ought not have to be dealing with some of the issues that we're dealing with right now. So I'm happy to be here, and thank you for having me as usual.
Thank you very much. Before we get into our discussions, let me tell Lawson, somebody on the Facebook page is asking that you put up the information for the GoFundMe page. And so go right ahead, have that up on the screen as we have our discussions. Let me start by saying that you just attended your first General Council of the Nevis Reformation Party, where you took center stage along with the candidates who have been selected so far. I have been to several. That was one of the better General Council meetings that we have had in the last dozen years or so. How did it go for you?
It went very well. Oftentimes when you do not have an opportunity to interact with your various constituency group members, and understanding that the devil is always at play, and there are so many rumors that people must grapple with. And so I think the General Council provided an opportunity for everybody to come in, understand, hear from the candidates, prospective candidates, and really got a good feeling that NRP is really re-energized and we're on the path to doing what we do best, which is getting back into government so that we can ensure that Nevis is back on a path to prosperity and sustainable development.
Very good. I left myself with a good feeling coming from that General Council meeting. Now, as usual, we like to welcome you to 2020 Vision Radio. I'm sure that you probably have an opening statement before we get into our discussion, so I'll give you the mic.
Well, thank you very much. And each time I sit here, I remember the first time that I came and I listened to Dr. Daly saying hello to everybody, near and far. And so I have sort of adopted that protocol. And so I would like to say good evening to all of my friends and families here and abroad, specifically, of course, my sisters up in the Virginia area, Susie and Ingrid, my two sons in the USVI, and all of my cousins, of course, my very large network of family. And so I just want to say good evening and happy listening. And so, Mr. Powell, what we're really seeing at this point in time is an issue that is of concern to not only us here in Nevis, I would say throughout the Federation and even abroad, because of late we have been seeing that there has been some escalating impacts on our quest to achieve food security. And while we may think of it as a small matter, when you have one incident, two incidents, three incidents, you realize that this is something that really needs to be addressed on a large scale. And so I have looked at what has been happening, and I have arrived at the conclusion that really poor governance and divisive politics is really a threat to our food security here in Nevis. Now, all over the world, we have governments that are taking strides to enhance agricultural production and ensure that people have access to food all year round. One of the fundamental requirements to achieving this goal is the need to ensure that people have secure and equal access to agricultural lands. The question must be asked then, why so much conflict surrounding agriculture and food security in Nevis? I have said before that one must really get to the root cause of a problem if a reasonable solution is to be found. And I can recall, in an effort to strengthen food security in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, Prime Minister Harris announced that farmers in St. Kitts and Nevis would be the beneficiaries of a $10 million government stimulus package. The Director of Agriculture in St. Kitts said that they were offering help with free land preparation, free seedlings, free chemicals, and even free help in marketing. And in order to participate in the stimulus package, the farmers in St. Kitts were asked to sign a memorandum of understanding. Now, earlier this year, the Premier of Nevis spoke about the assistance provided to farmers in Nevis under the same stimulus package, but no mention of any MOU or any similar instrument to ensure that there was accountability or order in terms of how the stimulus package was being rolled out. In fact, when asked about any plans to regulate the price of produce, of course, since farmers were beneficiaries of the stimulus package, he responded that the price of produce is not regulated under the law. But he was hopeful, as Premier of the country, he was hopeful that the market would regulate the price. Market people, meaning those who are buying and those who are selling. He went on to say that the problem is that the vendors are not passing on the savings to consumers. And his only solution, in his words, was to appeal to the people to do the right thing and buy from the marketing division of agriculture. Now here we have two different stakeholders. You have the vendors and you have the marketing division of agriculture. If the government of the day is not going to put the necessary policies in place, what do you think would happen? You are going to have issues with the vendors and the marketing division of agriculture. Now, in January of this year, I posted on Facebook about the devastation that was caused to Mr. Wade's farm. It was reported that conflicts among users appeared to be the reason for the destruction of crops. Now, one would think that since the land belongs to the Crown, the government would take a hands-on approach to minimize these conflicts. Unfortunately, as you looked into the research, it was revealed that the government actually leased the land to one entity, but later gave other persons permission to occupy the same land. Can you imagine that? Worse yet, the government decided that since the land was already leased, they had no responsibility to the person that they leased the land to or the persons who they later gave permission to help resolve any conflicts. Now, how can you assess the relationship between somebody having a lease, the government giving other people permission to use the land, and the government is saying, it's up to you guys to solve the problems? Now, that, of course, is another situation of where we're looking at inciting or creating the environment where you can have divisiveness and conflicts amongst land users instigated by the government. Now, in January also, I posted on Facebook about the Wilkinson's family. It was a heart-wrenching story listening to reading about the daughter's account of what it meant to her, realizing that all of her father's animals were lost. At that time, that was in January, I made a plea to the officials in charge to denounce acts of destruction in our agricultural sector, to launch an investigation or even declare penalty for those caught in the wrongdoings. I was saddened by the prolonged silence. It was deafening. Later on, in March, most recently, I wrote a post about the damage to agricultural property at Cades Bay. I wrote the post because I saw the destruction of the property that Dr. Daly cultivated for many years. Again, it was reported that conflicts between farmers appeared to be the reason for the destruction. Now, one may ask, if the farmers have access to land, why should the government be involved? But what I would say is that we have a constitution, and subject to the provisions of the constitution, the NIA may make laws which we call ordinances here in Nevis, and those laws are to be developed for the peace, order, and good government of the island of Nevis. The sad thing is that there seems to be a lack of interest, or maybe there is no time in the busy schedules to put, for example, an MOU like the Department of Agriculture in St. Kitts did, or any policies or any proper procedures in place to ensure that we have peace, order, and good government in Nevis. Now, when persons are willing to put in the hard work to grow crops, to help feed our people, to help contribute to food security, it is expected that the government would find ways to empower them and assist them to enhance their productivity. Unfortunately, it is quite clear that our government of the day is more interested in a divide and conquer approach. Divide and conquer, putting farmers against each other, putting persons who have leases against persons who are given permission. And so once you have a divide and conquer approach to politics, it is well known the world over that such approaches would lead to the destruction of societies. And this is the reason why we are so concerned right now, because when we look at the destruction in our agricultural sector over the last months, these could have been avoided if the government truly had the best interests of the farmers at heart, and if there was real interest in food security. And when we look at the way that our leaders respond to these conflicts amongst stakeholders, what we realize is that the leaders, the premier to be exact, is not acting responsibly and going on radio shows and inciting divisiveness to the detriment of our livelihoods and society building. Really, that should not be the order of governance in Nevis today. The divide and conquer approach, we see it over and over again. I listed 3 different scenarios. And the problem with this approach is that those persons who use this approach are generally persons who are concerned with seeking power rather than trying to empower others. And so when we look at the world over, when we look at the track to get to sustainability and prosperity, we recognize that inclusivity is really the key to building stronger communities, and it's really one of the hallmarks of the NRP party. I can recall some time back when former Premier Parry was chastised because he, operating under the principles of NRP, that all men are equal and all men should be treated equal, decided that he would include CCM supporters in his government to the chagrin of NRP supporters. But that is the principle upon which NRP was founded, and that's what NRP stands for: inclusivity, not dividing and putting people to fight against each other. Now, notwithstanding that when the CCM government get into office, they hastened to terminate employees, some of whom were only considered to be supporters of the NRP. Now, the manner in which NRP deals with disputes, in terms of negotiating, providing notices, providing options to minimize conflicts, is indicative of an inclusive approach to government, not a divisive one that we are seeing right now. Now, I hasten to add that NRP was founded really on the principles of inclusivity, first and foremost, innovation, integrity, industry building, good governance. And it's for those principles, I think, that the newly transformed NRP would be successful, because we have pledged to uphold the principles upon which NRP was founded. And we bring a vision of a much better Nevis of all Nevisians. We are at a crossroads, I would have said that before, and we cannot sit back and be complicit and allow a divisive government to destroy the Nevis that we have come to know. The good thing is that we know that better can be done. It has been done, and so there's no reason for us to accept what we're seeing happening right now, especially in a period of the COVID-19 pandemic, the strengthened need or the greater need for food security. How do we sit back and allow this type of destructive behavior to be the norm of the day? The government has a responsibility to ensure that the necessary ordinance and policies are in place to minimize these types of conflicts. And we're seeing, as far as the government is concerned, it's a hands-off approach. It's not our business. You guys fight against each other. And we will stay here and do what we need to do, which is to try to do 2 jobs in one day. And so it's really concerning, and I think we really must recognize that it's time to make that change, because this is not going to be in the best interest of Nevis, Nevisians, for us going forward. Thank you.
What if I told you that it appears as if that the destruction of the farm animals, the destruction of Kibo's farm, the destruction of Dr. Daly's farm has drawn nothing but lip service from the Premier? Would you believe?
I would believe, because we have characterized the type of politics which we know is about self-empowerment, seeking power. It's not about trying to build sustainable communities. It's not about trying to enhance food security. And I would have spoken here before about the types of ordinances that you would see coming out of the NIA. I cannot recall one ordinance that was put forth as progressive legislation to help ensure that we have order and good governance in Nevis. And so I would not be surprised. The modus operandi basically is to create conflict among citizens and then befriend and keep one close to you. And of course, if you're already not in favor with the government, then of course we know who the enemy is going to be. And we really cannot allow for that type of divisive governance to infiltrate and to set us as Nevisians, to set us, those of us living here in Nevis, to be fighting against each other. That is one of the functions of the government, to put the necessary procedures, legislation in place to ensure that there's good order. So
stick a pin. Let's take this first call. Good evening, caller. Good evening.
And good evening to the lovely lady there over in her name is what, the lady on the panel?
Yes, is the leader of the Nevis Reformation Party, Dr. Janice Daniel-Hodge.
Okay, good evening, Dr. Daniel-Hodge.
Good evening.
Now, I want to make my little input on this whole situation in Nevis. I'm not taking sides. Okay, I'm just going to be as straight as I can. I look at the whole argument and the whole issue. My major problem is coming to the point with this situation. Hello?
We're not hearing you very clearly at all.
Hello?
We're not hearing you clearly at all.
The 669 number works good?
Should be.
Hello?
Yeah, should be. Or call me on, is this on WhatsApp?
No, this is regular call.
Okay, you can call me on WhatsApp. Let's try that, because we're not hearing you clearly at all.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. I'm going to start while we wait for the caller. Caller, just give me a couple of minutes. Let's go back to last weekend, where Dr. Daly went to his farm and found that a serious amount of damage had been done, where people were literally trying to put him out of business. Dr. Daly, I thought I had the tape queued up, but I am told by the engineer that it isn't. So you, in your own words, bring us up to speed and tell us when you went to the farm, what you saw. But start before with what you had done in terms of the irrigation work, the recent work, and tell us about the damage.
Well, this Sunday, I was over there and installed a brand new irrigation system, which involved quite a bit of work. It took me about 2 hours to install about 900 feet of what we call laterals or drip with emitters, and connecting the government mains water to my sub-main. So that took a bit of work. And a bit of tidying up of the farm, and the poles that were plucked out of the ground previous on the Wednesday, I had to secure those back into my storage. So I was there for about 2 hours doing a lot of work, and I hadn't finished the irrigation system because I had forgotten my drill to attach the water valves. And so the idea was to return early on Monday morning to complete the work. And I got to the farm just about minutes past 6 on Monday morning, and I hadn't even realized. I opened the gate, backed into the yard, and hadn't even realized anything at that point that had gone terribly wrong. Is when I really exited the vehicle and looked around. I mean, it was awful. I couldn't believe it. I really could not believe it. I stood there with my hand on my head, in amazement that somebody could be so malicious to destroy such beautiful plants to begin with, and just push down the trellis work, cut up the wire, chopped up the irrigation system. It was very painful, and it's just something that you want to relive, because I had put so much work into it, and there was so much promise, for making us more secure in our food security. I had decided since November or October of the year before that I wanted to fill the entire acreage with passion fruit orchards. So that was one of 5 that were planned. We would have completed that one, and we were started on the second one when, of course, the first incident occurred, where the gentleman approached and I videotaped the whole confrontation. Then, of course, we would have gone to the police station and made a report, and it wasn't a pleasant experience at the police station. Of course, everybody knows that. I've told the story that happened there. I don't need to re-prosecute that. But moving forward, I want to share with people. I know if you want me to continue. Or
no, you go right ahead.
Okay.
We want to get the story because I have a copy of a letter, a lease arrangement which was made with 2 gentlemen for this very same piece of land.
Okay.
So I want to put that on the record.
Okay, well, let me give people a background, because the Premier has been out there talking a lot of nonsense. First, it was that the land was never occupied by me, that never produced anything, that the restaurant above on Westbury Road complained about no activity, and the bushes on the farm were obstructing their view, and they're feared for their life, all manner of things. But as Dr. Hodge indicated, those arguments perhaps could have been debated early on. But we are now in a state where the Premier himself incited action against me by his words on his show the Wednesday prior, last week Wednesday. So everything else that went before becomes mute, in my view, given the viciousness at which he came after me on radio, live and direct. And somebody or persons heard what they said. The same persons listened to Trump. People were listening to him, and somebody acted. Somebody acted and took it out on me. But I want to go back a little bit and give you a history. That's a short history of my occupancy of the land, which began in 1998. 1998, September of 1998 to be exact. And at that time, at that point in time, we planted everything. Tried to figure out what worked best for the environment, for the soil. So we tried everything: melons of all types, honeydew melon, muskmelon, watermelon, cantaloupe, honeydew. We tried all of those. We also tried sweet pepper, hot pepper, seasoned pepper. We planted sweet corn, planted cucumbers of every type, squash, pumpkin, cabbage, zucchini, tomato. We tried a lot of things. And each time we were making mental notes of what worked and when it worked. And what we finally settled on after 10 years of productivity, we decided to focus on melons. This decision came in around 2008, after 10 years of trying different things. And so we decided watermelon, honeydew, and cantaloupe will be our signature crops, rotated around the farm so you don't get pest buildup in any one spot. There's always a danger to that, and we encountered that very danger in 2015 when we discovered that we had succumbed to a very debilitating condition, a virus infection that came in with some new seeds that we ordered from California. The condition is called rind necrosis. The fruit is unsaleable because it is not it doesn't taste bad. It looks bad. And so you could not sell it on the market. So we had to basically shut down. And based on the advice of the seed producers, we were told it's best that the land be rested to allow the virus to work itself out of the environment. We tried, even though we were told that, in August of 2015, when we discovered, July 2015, we discovered we had this rhinocrosis. By August of 2015 to August 2018, we decided to rest the land, except we tried to cultivate some short breed or dwarf coconuts. We were still in the throes of the lethal yellowing, and the dwarf coconut seemed like a good idea. And so I had gone to considerable lengths to acquire 42 dwarf coconut trees to plant. This was in September of 2015. Within 1 year, Carlisle, all of those dwarf coconut trees were stolen. One by one, two by two, stolen. We continued anyway to pay the water bill, to remain connected, and we advised the Department of Agriculture of our dilemma, that we could not, in good faith, go in with any significance and plant food. We will stick to try and plant some tree crops. Like I tried getting some Amripali in there. I planted 12. Those people who cut the fence, animals came in and grazed them down. In July 2017, no, so let me go back. In December 2016, the only change I made in my life, I joined the Nevis Reformation Party. December 2016. After I joined the Nevis Reformation Party in 2016, everything went downhill after that in terms of my association with the land. All right?
What I was going to ask, sorry, you were Minister of Agriculture.
Permanent Secretary.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture. And one of the things that I was always curious about with regards to during that time period, whether or not anything drastically different was being done with regards to the leasing of agricultural lands to farmers, etc., based on your occupancy of the land and what is being done now. I mean, is it customary? I would have listened to the radio show, was it last evening, where a young man called in and spoke about his experience. He was, he's a CCM, and his experience was essentially that NRP got into government and needed to use the land that he was occupying. And what the NRP did is that they offered him a different plot of land to use. They gave him a time period by which to vacate. And so, it seems as if there is more understanding and empathy, notwithstanding political affiliation. NRP deal with people more on an understanding level that, hey, you must eat. You may have a family that you need to deal with as well. And so rather than just, taking a position where, in the instance we looked at with the Wade plot, where you would have had land leased before, and then other persons given permission to use the same land. I mean, yeah, these are the things that really would create conflicts amongst users. And the troubling thing to me is that the government takes a hands-off approach. You guys work it out.
Well, it is more than that. It is from, in my mind, that the government instigate the confusion.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
It is clear in my mind.
Definitely.
And I've seen this more than once. And Dr. Daly, for the record, as I said, when I was leaving home, somebody messaged me and said, listen, I have something that you need to see. So I saw it, and I feel that is something that people need to hear.
Don't touch it yet.
Okay, you go ahead.
Let me just finish up this little point. To the point Dr. Hodge was mentioning, when Cherry Garden came into existence, when it was being planned, that entire land mass was occupied by farmers. It was communal grazing land in particular. Even though persons had individual lots, most of the land was communal grazing. And as the Permanent Secretary and directly before, my job is to ensure continuity of farming. And therefore, farmers who occupied that land, which was now designated for housing, had to go somewhere. And so we searched high and low for lands. One of the areas that we focused on was the 70 acres of land that the now late Brantley, father of our premier, held from 1973, a 35-year lease to 2008. The lease expired in 2008. Thank God that it expired, because we needed a place for those farmers to be relocated to. And so based on your initial holdings, where the housing scheme was to go, you were given almost a commensurate size plot. Some of the larger holders in the Cherry Garden area, we contemplated moving them further out into Maddens, where it had a bigger expanse of land. So people like Rudy, who had horses, we couldn't offer him the large acreage he once held. So we tried to give him land in Maddens. It's a long distance, and at one point I think he had refused to move or to go. And I felt pain for him, because horses require a lot of room.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You had other persons there who were moved onto that on the land that previously held by Brantley. So that basically resolved itself either through NRP or right after NRP left office in 2013. But in my situation, after 2016, after I joined NRP, things for me, my fortunes, as it were, changed in farming. Immediately I became a target. In 2017, July July or early August, I had just cleared out all of the fields. We had pumpkins, melons, and stuff like that. And we pulled all the drip irrigation back to the fence line along Westbury Road. So we had all that 2 acres under cultivation. All that drip lines were now lodged at the side of the Westbury Road, the Lakers Westbury Road. And somebody came and threw a match to it and lit it, burnt it down flat. You understand? Deliberately. That's not all I lost. That drip line system took me years to build up. Cost me over $25,000 to put into place. In addition to that, we had over a mile of the shock wire system, over a mile, 3 layers, three rungs on top of the fence wire. And underneath that, we had another layer of plastic wire, 1 square inch to prevent the monkeys from coming through what we call the pig wire. So we had 3-level system of fencing, secure fencing, to prevent monkeys from coming into the property. Right? That all was lost. That was all lost in the fire. Okay? In addition to that loss, the shock unit, the solar unit, that was stolen around the same period of time. Nonetheless, in September 2018, I got a friend of mine from St. Kitts, friends of mine from St. Kitts, and I was able to put in a 1/2 acre of a mixed plot of bananas and plantains, a 1/4 acre of cassava, again from St. Kitts, friends in St. Kitts, bags and bags of cassava sticks planted out. And I also agreed to put in a little plot, a test plot for melons to see whether the virus was still in the environment or not. The virus was still there. That entire crop failed. It was a big plot. It was a test crop. The bananas, not the planting, the bananas came down with a condition. I think they came in with it. I was a bit suspicious of them. But they came in with a disease called moko, which is a bacterial infection. And you could see it, the leaves start to droop, and when you cut the stem, it's black inside. That's a moko disease. All right? So those bananas had to be rogued out and destroyed. The plantains that were remaining, we had about 100 holes of plantains. And I called my good friend Kibo. He was just starting his plot. And I said, man, come and get these plantains, because if they stay here, I fear they may come down with the moko. So come and get them. So he came and got them. That was in 2018.
Stick a pin at 2018. Let's go and hear from the sponsors, and we'll come back and continue the story.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you will never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
Hi, this is Carlisle Powell, a member of the 2020 Vision family, where we all volunteer our services. We can't do this without you. So please use our Facebook or GoFundMe links and donate now. Your donation will also help us in our quest to be on the FM dial. Please make a donation now.
Welcome back to Tell Me, where we are still with you on another Thursday evening here, and we're hearing from Dr. Daly the timeline leading up to the destruction of last weekend on his farm. We were 2018, Dr. Daly.
Okay, fast forward to 2019, April 2019. The decision to basically rogue out everything that was there, to rid the farm, to start anew, was made. I would have had a conversation around the same time with officials at the Department of Agriculture. Remember now, by that time, I had 2 plots of land. The 2-acre plot, which is now in contention, and a 1-acre plot below, adjacent. I decided, listen, I needed help. I had lost all that money in the fire. Most of my stuff was stolen. I needed help. So I made a commitment to the Department of Agriculture. In exchange for me relinquishing control of the 1-acre plot. And on that, by that time, I spent over $20,000 on that land with irrigation system, the same shock wire system, the same fencing, everything there, I put it there. I said, I will give it up in exchange for some help to get your backhoe up on the 2-acre plot to help me get the land prepared, which they did. They came through for me in 2019. Again, stop and start, the Department of Agriculture. Took a while. But by August 18th, August 18th, 2020, 90% of the work to reclaim, to help me with the upper plot, the 2-acre plot, was completed. 90%. August 18th, 2020. And I sent a text, and I can read the text to you. And I'll tell you what I said. I see that you have finally finished clearing the land at Cates Bay. We'll start my planting immediately. Thanks. November 30, 2020. By the way, I started immediately preparing. the land. November 30, 2020, the first letter came from Ted Hobson's office. And the letter read, "My instructions are that you have been trespassing on this property." This letter is coming from Housing and Land. "My instructions are that you have been trespassing on the property belonging to Housing and Land, located at Cates Bay in the parish of St. Thomas's, for quite some time. In the circumstances, therefore, this letter is to demand that you cease and desist from trespassing on the said property. Failure to do so will result in legal procedures being instituted against you for trespass forthwith." Of course, my attorneys responded the same week, and on January 25th, a second letter came from Hobson Law Chambers. And it read, part of it read, "We note that when you received our letter, there were no crops or cultivation or any plants on the said land. However, since receiving our letter, your client has proceeded to plant certain crops and supporting structures on the land, thereby aggravating the trespass. Our client intends to remove all that you have planted on the land or any structure used to support them and take them to the Cotton Ground Police Station should you fail to remove them by the 30th day of January 2021. Right? Now, remember I told you, agriculture was working with me to get the land sorted out. They finished the work on August 18th, 2020, at which point I moved in to plant out start planting the passion fruit orchard. All right? So the timeline given by Mr. Brantlin, but I never occupied the land and all this nonsense garbage. I have definitive proof that I was working with the minister, with the Department of Agriculture all this time to make sure they understood what the program is.
The Department of Agriculture help you to perpetrate and aggravate the trespass.
Yes.
We for the record, we have to let people know that Nevis Housing and Land Development Corporation is wholly owned by the government of Nevis.
Of course.
And so the Department of Agriculture, which is a department of government, sent their backhoe and their excavator to help you to prepare lands which is government land and which the government housing and land development lawyer wrote you to say that you are aggravating trespass.
Right.
So the government is helping you to do harm against the government according to them.
But it was government excavator.
Exactly.
Government backhoe, government tractor.
And government struck the deal to take the 1 acre to help you with the 2 acres.
With the 2 acres. That was the deal. That's why I have not even contemplated seeking any redress on the first 1 acre, because the agreement was, you help me with the 2 and I'll give up the 1.
Which you did.
Which I did.
And so they came and helped you, so they kept the agreement.
Of course. Of course. But you see, housing and land is not talking with agriculture, you know? They're acting independently of agriculture. That is where the information vacuum exists. Right? But fast forward to February 18th, today. February 18th. March, what today is? 25th. We have a copy of the rental agreement between Housing and Land and the 2 gentlemen from Cotton Ground, dated February 18 and signed by them, agreeing to the terms February 22nd. Signed by them. Right? And the terms are designed to make these young men fail. I read the terms. The terms in agriculture by the Department of Agriculture is not more than $100 a year per acre. $100 a year per acre. That is the terms that the Department of Agriculture charges farmers.
Well, let me read this letter. And the gentlemen are known. The date of the letter is 18 February 2021. And it is written to Omar Walters and Terence Fleming of Cotton Ground, St. Thomas's Parish. Dear Mr. Walters and Mr. Fleming, we are pleased to offer you a rental agreement for a plot of land situated at Cades Bay Estate, measuring 2.014 acres to be used for agricultural purposes. In order for the rental agreement to become effective and in order for you to assume occupation of the lot, you are required to pay $200 as the registration fee, which is $100 per acre. The terms and conditions are outlined below. 1. The rental agreement is for a period of 15 years renewable. 2. You are required to pay the monthly rent of $200 for 15 years.
$200 per acre?
Yeah, you just said
per year
that it is
100
per year.
Per year.
These gentlemen are being charged $200 a month.
That's right.
$200 a month.
That's right.
And you said the normal agreement for people at New River and Cades Bay and elsewhere is $100 per acre per year.
Per year.
Well, the government is charging these fellas $200 a month.
Mm-hmm.
One of my maths people will work out what percentage higher they have to pay than the regular people. You will have the option to purchase the lot within the length of the agreement. If you wish to terminate this rental agreement before the time stipulated, 6 months notice should be given. Additionally, 6 months rent is due and payable on the termination of this agreement. If the corporation wishes to terminate or amend the terms of this agreement, they have to give as well 6 months notice. I got a sneaky feeling that they are going to use that clause to say, listen, we use you to get rid of Dr. Daly. No, you get out.
Yep.
Now, the land will be repossessed if it is not used for the purpose for which it is rented. Failure to occupy and commence business on the lot within 9 months of signing this rental agreement may render this agreement null and void. Let me go to the next page. Please indicate to us in writing on or before the 18th of March 2021 your readiness to accept our offer as well as the terms and conditions outlined, at which point we are also requesting that you remit a copy of this page with your signature affixed in the place provided below. If the registration amount is not paid on or before the 18th of March, the offer will then expire on the 19th of March 2021 and may be offered to other customers thereafter. Now, did the corporation ever offer you a lease agreement on that land?
Never.
Did they seek to engage you in any discussions whatsoever?
Never. Never.
Did they recognize you as a farmer?
Nope. They said I'm a squatter. From out the gate, I'm a squatter. The letter from Hobson and Associates speaks to my trespassing right out the gate.
So you've been trespassing for 20-something years?
22 years.
So why you're not in
with
jail?
With the assistance of the Department and Ministry of Agriculture.
Why you're not in jail then?
I don't know.
The question I would ask is, you were not the only farmer in that area. How different is your arrangement compared to other farmers with regards to having a lease or a rental agreement or some document?
Well, I spoke to the Department of Agriculture since this incident because I've been hearing that a notice went out on Von Radio sometime in the past inviting farmers in to regularize their rental agreements with the Department of Agriculture. Right? I never heard the agreement. I never heard the announcement. I don't listen to Von Radio on a regular basis. But there's a very extensive extension service which touches each farmer. I'm in Cades Bay, I know who my extension officer is. If there's a problem I need to get sorted out or they're trying to get some production data, that extension officer who's assigned to the district comes to me and gets it. So if they have a new policy of regularizing farmers in the Cage Bay area, or any area, matter of fact, it is incumbent on the department and on the Extension Service to inform in person the tenants of the land, right? I never received any notice. I never got any communication from the department or from housing or anybody talking about regularizing the issue of tenancy. I know when I was a PS and the director before that, we were trying to do exactly that, but we ran into a buzzsaw of competing interests. And of course, time ran out of us on us, and we left office before that process was completed.
So Dr. Daly, I'm also curious. I mentioned earlier about the $10 million stimulus that was given. Were you one of the beneficiaries?
No, never got a cent.
Because when I was looking at this situation and I looked at what was done in St. Kitts, for example, where each farmer was required to sign an MOU in order to participate in that arrangement, it begs the question, how was the stimulus package rolled out in Nevis? and
You're asking $1 million question.
I think it goes back to where if we had the necessary procedures, policies in place, where once you're recognized as a farmer, once you're occupying land, then regardless of which party you're associated with, then you should have been a beneficiary of the stimulus package. And I saw that really as an opportunity, that period of time where you're going to be getting free seeds, free monies, etc., to really regularize and make sure that everybody had the necessary documents so that they can participate.
We have 2 phone lines going. Let's take the first call. Good evening, caller. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Paul. Good evening. No?
A lot better.
Okay. Yeah, I was just saying quickly, the situation with Mr. Daly. You see, when these politicians have the power in their hand, they tend to use it and use it to the leisure and the pleasure. I mean, I've been through the struggle like Daly. Remember, my idea was pull on the map, Brantley them with immediate effect. But what I'm saying though, Mr. Powell, and to you guys, looking at the whole situation, I look at the situation begin first with Mr. Daly and that guy. The guy didn't have the police with him. The guy didn't have the people. Let's say something had escalate at that beginning, where either Daly had get hurt or the guy had get hurt. What would have been the outcome? Because just after that, Brantley came on the radio the night, or the Wednesday night, and he said clearly to the world, the guy was angry. Mr. Daly make the guy angry. That's why the guy react that way. Up until you have not been saying that the guy was wrong. One, is government land. But 2, he pull up Daily Paul. Nobody's seeing that part of the story. So the question I'm asking, Mr. Powell, you have a bunch of people in Nevis who's selling on this side of the street. Does not have any papers. Same thing in St. Kitts. So it's okay for the government to go and take out the people and throw them aside? You understand what I'm trying to say, Mr. Powell?
Yeah, I'm reading you loud and clear.
I'm listening to Mark Brantley show last night now. I'm going to show you these guys are well organized. The same lady there, your co-host, said that somebody called in on the show. I listened to the show. I like to listen to them. Where the guy called in and was talking exactly what you were saying about with land and so. And you know what surprised me, Mr. Powell? Mark Brantley said to the guy, hold on, I have the paperwork right here in my phone. And in a split second, Mark Brantley went to his phone and read out the letter. So what are they telling us?
No, I know. It is clear that they set up people. You call at this time, your topic will be such and such. I can't be bothered with that. I don't set up anybody to call any show that I'm hosting.
Have a good night.
Thank you very much, caller. There was somebody else who was calling. We hope that they call back. Let me tell you though, one of the questions that I heard put to the Premier, whether or not there were any other lands available in the area of Cades Bay. He said no, he's not aware of any other lands.
Is he an agriculturalist?
They ask him, you're aware of any other lands around Nevis? He's not aware of any lands.
Well,
deliberately not aware.
He's not aware of anything, matter of fact.
But I tell you something. We have, I think the best answer that I got for him came from Chronic. I think we should look for that and we should play that just now so that people could see what kind of response the society there has for people like him. I can't find my engineer though. I don't know if he stepped away and he took a break because recently has not been with me so that he could slide up what I want. So we're going to have to pass that for the time being.
Well, let me say something real quick. When I read the lease agreement or the rental agreement between Housing and Land and these two gentlemen from Cotton Ground, it reeks, and it smells. It is unconscionable. It is bad. Right? Here you got two young men trying to make start in agriculture. And all Housing and Land is trying to do is to use them as fodder in this contest between myself and them. That is all it is. Because the same, if those two gentlemen had gone to agriculture department, they'll have gotten the same land, assuming that everything was equal. They'll have gotten the same land for $100 a year, $20 a year for the entire acreage.
Yeah, but they're now paying $200 a month.
They're now paying $2,400 a year versus $200 a year.
Let's take this call, Dr. Daly. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen and ladies.
Good evening.
A question I want to ask. Do you all know that the same gentleman, Fleming, used to work a piece of ground, farm a piece of ground over in the same Kesbe area of the road going towards Aska?
Him or his cousin?
Him.
Okay.
And had people from PEP working for him. Investigate that and find out what happened to the land, why he's not working it no more. And the question that I really want to ask, did he have a lease from land and housing then to farm on that piece of land? Thank you.
Okay, we're making the notes and we're certainly going to investigate. Thank you very much.
Mr. Powell, I find something rather interesting based on what Dr. Daly just mentioned with regards to gaining access to the land, whether through Housing and Land Corporation or through Department of Agriculture. What that implies really, or what I infer from that, is that both agencies have the right to lease or to develop a rental agreement for the same piece of land?
With cooperation and consultation. Since agriculture has always been the administrator of the land, Housing and Land has always taken a back seat, even during my time. It was understood that once you're a farmer, even if you're on land that now has been vested in Housing and Land, that agriculture remains the administrator of that land. And so we would administer the land based on person's need and try to advise them appropriately. So if there are leases granted to farmers or rental agreements at Cades Bay, I guarantee you 99% of them will be issued by Department of Agriculture, not Housing and Land. That has been the policy from since I was there. I came there in 1998. I met most of the farmers that are there still. I met them there. That's how long those guys have been on that land. And I'm telling you this without any equivocation. When I got there in 98, nobody in that area produced more food than me. Not a single soul. I'm proud of that.
But they say that you're not a farmer. They say you're not a farmer. You haven't produced anything over there. That's what the premier of the country says.
If the engineer was able to slide the pictures and show persons. Listen, I held down melon, cantaloupe, or honeydew to all the vendors in the public market. My melons, honeydew, cantaloupe went to St. Kitts. My seasoned peppers were a favorite in the Rams on the Bay Road in St. Kitts. You understand? The Chinese at Baker's Corner consumed a lot of my seasoned peppers.
Let's take this overseas call, Dr. Daly. Good evening, caller.
Hello, hi, good evening.
How are you tonight?
I'm okay. I just wanted to really call into the show tonight because that day when I saw that video about what Dr. Daly showed on Facebook. It was very, very heart wrenching and annoying. And I'm a Nevisian, but I'm not a Nevis. If I was in Nevis that day, I'm sure I might have got locked up. Because I think Nevis people need to really, really rise up and stand up against the injustice. This thing with Dr. Daly is not political anymore. It's a personal vendetta. And I hear you what you're saying about people having lease for land that they got in February. This thing was going on since before February. Dr. Daly been putting up post after post after post about the treatment that he was getting. So this thing about somebody having a lease for the land from February into March is just total rubbish. It's just a way of shamefacedness and trying to cover up what they have done. So people need to just disregard that that paper or whatever it is, paper, phone, or whatever. It's not right. It's just not right. The government don't own no land. If somebody been on a land for 20 plus years, how can you not be in prison for being on that land, using it against all protocols, and now all of a sudden, because you are on a certain party and it's to their dislike, they're gonna find all kind of means and ways to get you off that land? It is wrong in all sense. And I need more people need to call in. It's not just about writing on Facebook and putting up a post and venting your anger. You need to call in and make them know that it's wrong. The federal government need to step in and make this thing right. And that's what I have to say. Good night to all. Bye.
Good night and thank you very much, caller. We'll stay with the phone lines and go straight to somebody who has been holding for a bit. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, caller.
Good evening.
Good evening to Dr. Hodge and to Dr. Daly.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, caller, there's something that I think is important. When we were in government, we understood that all government land were owned by the Ministry of Agriculture and we understood that certain lands were apportioned to agriculture, like State Bay, some areas in Patois, etc. And the purpose was given or leased or rented those lands by the Ministry of Agriculture, the department that they work in for the ministry. The question I have to ask, and what is puzzling me, how did housing get in? Housing corporation is a separate corporation to the Ministry of Agriculture. And apportion to housing have to be cut off by law and be given to them. They don't own the land. A lot of people seem to think that housing own our government land. It is not so. I remember when we were dealing with Cherry Gardens, those lands had to be apportioned to housing. It had to be done properly. That's how it is done. So I want to know what rights does housing have in terms of the law to make a lease for anybody over agricultural has been in charge of. And it is not surprising because this is agriculture is dealing with daily. And don't seem to know that agriculture is dealing with daily. And agriculture don't seem to know housing has other plans. It's a lot of confusion. And it needs to be investigated. I wouldn't be surprised that when I raise this thing tonight, you might find somebody backdating that the land has been moved from agriculture to housing. Maybe right now it is not lawful, it is not legal. Maybe right now it is not legal, and maybe Mark Wendy don't even realize it, or somebody in the government don't realize it, and they're just acting out of spite, or just acting out of whatever. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. You know, Mr. Parry is absolutely right. When we were in government, for example, we understood how the corporation was set up, and we understood what lands were vested in the corporation, but they had to be moved because the lands are government lands. The lands are controlled by agriculture, housing, and lands, and so on. But those lands, when you wanted to give lands to the corporation, you had to do it properly. So you couldn't. It seems to me as if CCM is saying that all the lands in Nevis belong to housing and lands, which is not the case. And they have a number of leases which might not be legal.
Exactly that. We in the ministry always try to protect our farmers. And so the first line of contact between the farmers and any ministry had to be either with the department or the Ministry of Agriculture, and worked out a rental or lease agreement. Housing and land never came to the picture, but of late they have surfaced and claiming something, but that's fine. But I don't want people to get bogged down into all the legalese and the nitty-gritty of land ownership and all. We have gone beyond that. We now have a government that has actively incited violence. That is where we at. Let us not be distracted by all this raid that the Premier talks about on his show, or whatever, whoever is talking about legal possession. That we are gone beyond that. We are now into incitement to create violence against people. That is where we are at.
State-sponsored terrorism.
In the case with Kibo up there, Spring Hill, the Minister of Housing and Lands, I am told from the report filed at Newcastle Police Station, gave permission for a young lady from Castle to occupy the same land that he knew Kibo occupied. What do you call that? What do you call that? Now, in my case, you have a situation where lawyers are talking, communicating about action to be taken or not taken regard our position. When lawyers are talking, and in the midst of lawyers talking, Housing Land is going to get up in the High House and issue on the 22nd of February this year a rental agreement with two gentlemen, knowing fully well that those terms are absurd, and most likely, and based on that 6 month out, they can pull back the land in 6 months. This is where we at. Nothing else matters right at this point.
You see, the $200 a month is going to kill them. Let me tell you, I believe my good friend Rudy has 5 acres paying $500 a year.
Okay. Let me tell you something. All right? Farming is not an easy thing. If you plant a crop of melons over there in Catesby, and you don't have monkey proofing, you're going to lose them all. Unless you plant to sleep there 24/7. If you plant an acorn melon, you expect to get about maybe $25,000, $30,000, which is average. You're going to lose it. 3 months, the crop comes in, you're going to lose it. You don't pay $600. You don't pay for water, you don't pay for plants, you don't pay for all kinds of things, and you will lose it overnight. You might not even come to fruition. And this is the reason why the Extension Service in the Department of Agriculture should be very strong to support farmers.
Stick a pin, because I still want to hear from Chronic. He gave the best response to the Premier of the country that I've heard from anybody. And so let's listen to this.
The whole talk show, whole night, jump on Mr. Daly. Big man, got people home from March 2020. No make a dollar. What you?
But he gave a response which we would want to put on the record, because the Premier of the country and the Cabinet of the country seem to be majoring in the minor. They want to be out there giving sound bites when people in the country are hungry, when families can't afford to pay the mortgage and can't afford to pay rent, don't have jobs, can't get severance pay. But they want to be grandstanding and saying, hey, listen, we are making an example, without saying it in those words, but really and truly who they are after are every farmer. Somebody called me and asked me, listen, Powell, agricultural open day, agri-fest, whatever they call it. You going? I said, no, I'm standing in solidarity with Daly.
Amen.
And so I'm not going to go by the agri. I got something to drop off for somebody, you know, and I will drop it off for them, but I'm not, listen, this year that will miss me.
I'll tell you something, right? And people listened and heard me present on video. It was not easy to do on Monday morning. Monday around 2 o'clock, I got a text from Reverend Bonnie Byron of the Charleston Methodist Church. And the text basically said, I'm inviting you to come to the Methodist Manse for us to pray with you. And when I got there at 8 o'clock, Reverend Bonnie Byron was there, Reverend Anthony Daly, my brother, was there, Mr. Pastor Pemberton from there at Bath, Eversley Pemberton, and the other Pemberton, Stedroy Pemberton, was there. And for 2 hours, we held court talking about the issue, and in the end, we all prayed together. I left that prayer meeting feeling renewed, reinvigorated. I felt so alive because I had a new purpose. I remember Pastor Pemberton saying, God will show you a new way. And people take these things for granted. I went home that night, Tulu, and I slept. And sometime during the night, people think, you know, it's strange, but sometime during the night, an idea came to me. I got up and I started to write. And I said, from this fire, from this occurrence on Monday morning, will come a new day. Nobody gonna beat me down like this. And I started to write, and I started to write. I didn't tell anybody anything. Tuesday night, I was out with some friends. And my phone rang. Steve Manners on the phone. And he said to me, Daly, I just got off the phone with my brother in Canada. And he has an acre of land right there next to the government house at Bath Hill. And he wants you to have it to put your project into fruition.
Hallelujah.
And I said to myself,
what a great God.
What a great
awesome God.
The thing is this, my sister Judy called right after and said, come to America. I have something here for you to do. I said, listen, I'm going to stay right here. There's no place for me to go. When I met Steve, the Wednesday morning, we met right by the land. And said, Steve, this is what we're going to do. This can't be just about me anymore. What happened at Kates Bay was a signal moment that we have to now multiply that little project across the entire country. And I said, I have a concept, and it's called the Passion Project. The Passion Project. And what it means is that we have now going to take that little orchard idea, and wherever people have pieces of land and want to be a part of the Passion Project, I will be there to help, to establish it, to help them manage it, to help them market it. I asked Steve to be the PRO, and he agreed to get the information out there. Because this thing cannot be about me alone. You sit on the board, the Passion Project, enhancing food, nutrition, and income security through sustainable agriculture production. That came out of that prayer meeting in my brain Monday night.
Hallelujah.
So when they think that I don't have people on my side, when I think I don't have God on my side, they are wrong. You understand me?
Dr. Daly, what I will say is you are one of the stronger ones who would have gone through such egregiousness and find it within you to stay. And you mentioned that your sister invited you to come to America.
Mm-hmm.
And as simple as it may seem, so many of our great minds, because of the type of environment that we have here, are unable to find their way here. And fortunately, in your situation, we had success emerging, a new beginning, moving forward. But I just want to say, there are a lot of people out there who would not necessarily have the resources that you have, who would not have the network that you have. And those are the persons that we really have to make an effort to reach out to, so that they could understand that they're not alone. They are not alone, because I would have heard during the video and right after the video, today it's Daly. Who would it be?
Next.
Who would it be tomorrow?
But the beauty about this project I'm starting, this passion project, the land at Bath Hill is a whole acre. My vision is to cut that into 5 orchards, passion fruit, and 5 young people from Bath must be a part of that project. Each one controlling a quarter of it, a fourth of it, a fifth of it, sorry. And what I'm appealing for is for persons in the diaspora, persons locally, it costs money to establish. If you want to donate towards the passion project, I'm all welcoming. I know a lot of people may have a piece of 2x4 in the yard. Once it's about 4 foot long, I can use it. If you have metal posts at least 10 feet long, I can use it. If you have wire of any type, I can use it. I know people after construction, I got all kind of material put down. Just link me, and I will come and collect it, because we can build a project for the young people in this country. I've had offers for land from Soda up in Fountain. He got a ½ acre up there he offered. Shelley Cross has offered a ½ acre on the bypass road. And Steve Manners and his brother has offered a whole acre. There are other people out there who are hearing this and saying, I want to be a part of that. How can I be part of that? Because this is something that came to me. That came to me in the middle of the night and said, this is where you go next. This is where you go next.
Let's try to play that tape once again.
The whole talk show, whole night, jump on Mr. Daly. Big man, got people home from March 2020. No make $1. What you really think about? Because you could get up every morning and cook your curry chicken, feed your whole family. You smiling, but people can't do like you. When you eat lobster, some people you dip bread in a tea still. Here I'm telling you, you need to tell people when they're going back over walk. And stop being a clown. Stop just picking for NRP supporters, NRP people. Leave that till election time. Tell people how they walk.
A message than that. The premier really should be about putting people to work, making sure that people could eat. He seems to be all about himself and some kind of fashion show that he's on at the expense of the people.
It's not same. It's a reality. He's all about himself. And the way that he tries to make himself viable is by pushing down upon others and trying to disgrace and disregard the good things of others. The Premier of Nevis is an abject failure. What he's successful at is deceiving people. He's a master of deception. He's a master of lies. He's a master of trickery. He is a man whose heart is filled with cunning craftiness. And this is a guy who lay down. And he has to think to tell the truth. And he has to think deep to tell the truth. But it's like water and a duck back in a deluge, like what's taking place in Australia.
Can't stick on.
That's for him. But when it comes to telling lies, quicker than a whisper, quicker than a clack of your finger, he's a master of it.
Let's take a quick break and come back. And we have to say thank you very much to my good friend Everson Piper Barry, who continues to sponsor. Tell me.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immuniser. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
Hi, this is Carlisle Powell, a member of the 2020 Vision family, where we all volunteer our services. We can't do this without you. So please use our Facebook or GoFundMe links and donate now. Your donation will also help us in our quest to be on the FM dial. Please make a donation now.
Welcome back to Tell Me, where we have with us Dr. Janice Daniel-Hodge. And I tell you something about Dr. Hodge. She always tells us that she's going to be with us for an hour. And then she spends 2 hours, and we are always very accommodating. Let's go straight back to the phone lines and say, good evening, caller.
Yeah, good evening, Carlisle.
Mr. Busso, how are you?
And Dr. Janice. I'm doing great. I'm here listening to the show. I just let me inform you that some of the callers we cannot hear clearly when they're giving their feedback, so you may want to check that out. But anyway,
I'm not technical. The technical guys will check that out. All I know how to do is to push the buttons to put the call in here.
But are you hearing me clearly?
I am hearing you loud and clear, and I heard all of the callers clearly in my headphones.
Okay, all right. Maybe it's on the outside then. But anyway, I just wanted to lend my support to Daly. I reached out to him during the week and on the day when the incident happened. And I'm a believer. I love my country, and I'm a believer where people need to stand up for their right when there are injustices are hurled at any division or anyone. They need to stand up for the right. Sadly, we don't have that happening in Nevis too often. Sadly, we do not hold our ministers of government accountable.
Sure.
As I said before, and I'll say it again, Van Samry in his last era fired a number of Nivisians who they thought or they claimed were supporters of NRP. He was not held responsible. His actions during his administration was modeled in front of Mark Brantley, Alexis Jeffers, and the rest of the cabinet. So somehow they think that this practice is normal, and we have become a society where we glorify when we see others tearing others down because of party affiliation. But I want folks to know that first, we're human beings. Second, we are Nivisians. All of us are bona fide Nivisians, and we have a right to contribute to the development of our country. There's a notion in Nevis, especially among the CCM supporters, that they're the only ones who are supposed to be building Nevis. Well, I wish they were doing that, because that is not what I am seeing from the outside. What I'm seeing is destruction, a lot of undermining and pushing people in the dirt. I have not seen anything where these guys are creating jobs, creating wealth for people. And we have some serious things coming down the pipeline because of COVID. It's getting real bad. I sent out a clip just tonight that I received with the Prime Minister of Canada. As of Sunday, this coming Sunday, all flights from Canada to the Caribbean will be no more until further notice. So that means tourism will be affected. That means folks who work in the tourism industry will be affected, and already they're being affected.
That it's not this Sunday, Busso. That clip came out some time ago, and it went into effect long before spring break, because they call it to sun destinations. Oh yeah, it's already in place.
Okay, I wasn't even aware of that. Thanks for the correction, though. But Daly, and to the rest of the Nivision crowd, as you said, I'm glad that the pastors call you for prayers and that they prayed for you, showing Nivisions clearly that God is bigger than Mark Brantley, Alexis Zook, Jeffers, Eric Evelyn, and all of them.
Hallelujah.
It's amazing how many Nivisions from overseas have stepped up and have offered you land, more land than what you occupied at Kids Bay. And I don't know if this was God's way of moving you forward, moving you onwards to bigger and greater things. Obviously it is. I believe so. But the vexing issue is about dividing people, tearing down people, putting people against each other, and attacking people. This is a premier who said that he's supposed to be a premier for all Nivisions. Mark Brantley, you cannot be a premier for CCM supporters alone. I am an NRP supporter. I will ever be an NRP supporter. I will not change, but I'm a Nivision first. And I have a right to developing and contributing to the development of my country. Nobody should stop that. But somehow, Nivisions feel, or many Nivisions feel, I must say, that these gentlemen are all powerful. The vote and the power is in the masses' hands, still remains. And I will end by saying this. Tulu, I've often heard you compare Mark Brantley to Donald Trump. And I agree with you. I see a lot of parallels. And I've said to Daly, the incitement that took place on January 6th happened because Donald Trump fed his followers a false narrative, lies, and they believed it. We have something similar on a smaller scale happening in Nevis, where they continue to feed their supporters lies, and they believe it, and they continue drinking the Kool-Aid. People just do not get up and act overnight just like that. They have been fed constantly deception and lies, and a lot of dishonest dealings. And sooner or later, the common man on the street acts out because they think the leader is doing it. So it's all well and good for him to do it or for her to do it. And this is what is happening in Nevis. And it's time that we rise up and stop this nonsense. Daly, I support you 100%.
Thank you, my brother.
Keep your chin up. You will overcome this, and you'll come out looking much better than they thought.
True.
Because they thought that they will keep you in the ground. But you will rise. You will rise again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. And the people of Bath will benefit. You say 5
We're going to put
persons.
5, and I really need to make this point over and over again. This passion project is for the entire country of Nevis, entire island of Nevis. Whichever district, whichever village, once there is land available, we can come in and advise and help you get established. But like I said, I am not a rich man. I'm not a politician with bank accounts in the Caymans and Anguilla. And so I'm relying on the good graces of Nevisians here and abroad to be a part of the project. And especially those on Nevis, like I said, who have pieces of scrap wood they think they need to dispose of. Anything 2x4, more than 4 feet long, we can use it. Wire of any type, we can use it. Barbed wire, fencing wire, we can use it to build orchards. There are many designs we can use based on where you are. If there's a high monkey population in an area, we have to use a different design. If you're in an area with a low monkey population, then we use a more affordable design. But this project will succeed only if we have community involvement and people willing to look into their own future, because whatever you produce is yours. If you want to donate something to the church, something to the schools, to your friends, it is what you should do. I'm only trying to teach you how to feed yourself. You know how to go out and do the rest.
We'll take a break. When we come back, I want to come to Dr. Daniel-Hodge, because I want to ask her, I'm going to change the subject a little bit. I want to ask her about Easter Monday. I see that there are some good plans for an event on Easter Monday. I want to ask her about that, and don't know if she wants to tell us a little bit about the candidate launches, which will be coming up just now. But as we go to break, let me say happy advance birthday greetings to my good friend Idris Daniel, who will be celebrating on Tuesday of next week, and her sister Ina will be celebrating tomorrow. Let me say happy birthday to those, get those wishes going. And we'll take a break and come right back.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
Hi, this is Carlisle Powell, a member of the 2020 Vision family, where we all volunteer our services. We can't do this without you. So please use our Facebook or GoFundMe links and donate now. Your donation will also help us in our quest to be on the FM dial. Please make a donation now.
Thank you very much, and welcome back to Tell Me, where we're in the final 20 minutes of the show this evening. And again, before we go to Dr. Janice Daniel-Hodge, we have been getting some good support. People have been making their contributions, and whether it's 5, 10, 15, 20, we don't tell you what to give. You must know what you can afford to give. But Tell Me is on the air because we get, first of all, sponsorship. Kangen Water has been good to us, has been sponsoring. They send in their check religiously on time every month. And when Piper is late, he had $2 for the lateness. So we want to thank you very much to Kangen Water, and we hope that the water gets very good support. And then we remind you that we survive, we're not paid, we survive, we're able to keep the air conditioning going, keep the equipment going based on your contributions. So we ask you to continue to contribute, because if the dance can't pay for the lights, we're turning off the power, and you wouldn't be able to spend time with us on a Thursday evening. So keep making your contributions, and we'll keep being eternally grateful for your contributions. Dr. Hodge, there's an event coming up on Monday, and we want you to tell us about that and invite the whole of Nevis to come in support.
I wish I could invite the whole of Nevis, but we know we are operating in COVID-19, and we have to abide by the protocols. But Easter Monday, I am sponsoring a fishing tournament over at Newcastle Bay. Newcastle Bay is almost like a second home for me, because I'm there religiously every week, except circumstances beyond my control. And I am there because I have a great love for the ocean. And of course, it is one of the landing sites, fish landing sites in Nevis. And so I recognize that there are a lot of different activities going on. But the fishers, the fish. There's so many of us who enjoy fish. We love fish, but the fishers don't really get that much recognition in terms of the hardships that they must endure. When you see them go out on any given day, having to pull their pots and their traps, etc., it's a lot of hard work, and people sometimes feel that they enjoy doing it, and so it's no big deal really. But I've been around fishers for a very long time, and I can appreciate the effort, the hardship, even to make their traps, etc. What really goes into that, and oftentimes we would ask them to make contributions to the overall sustainable use of the marine environment. And so I decided that this is something that I love doing. This is something that I love to be around. And so why not sponsor a fishing tournament where the fishers can have an opportunity to win some great prizes and do something that they enjoy doing. And so it's a fishing tournament. It's what we call bottom fishing. Of course, we have to be cognizant of the pressures on our coral reefs, and so this tournament is not about the trap fishing that would remove some of those fish that help to keep the corals healthy. So it's bottom fishing, and we have Mr. Mackie Moore and Mr. Dan Perkins. I think they're probably recognized in Nevis as, if anyone can really organize a fishing tournament, they're the ones who can, with regards to what the requirements would be, etc. And so we're expecting it to be, we have planned a number of activities that persons can really enjoy. Should I break for a minute?
Yes, please. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, Mr. Powell. How are you?
I keep getting better.
I can tell. This is Mr. Carl Armbruster, someone you will know well.
Very well.
And so I would like to say good evening to you and to the panel, and to Dr. Janice Daniel-Hodge, who I went to school with very briefly as she was going through her elevation in education.
Good evening, Carl.
Good evening, Janice, and to my friend, Mr. Kelvin Daly, Dr. Kelvin Daly.
How are you, my brother?
Doctor, I am well. And please don't ask anymore where I am.
I think I know where you are now.
Okay, please. So, Carla, first of all, let me say, Sharon asked me to call since I listen to the program every Thursday night. And she said, you must make a donation since you live on this program every Thursday night. And so I would ask you, please, to give me the information so I can support the program.
I'll send you the information because we have a gentleman in New York, a birdman, who works with us very well. So I'll send you information for Zelly and PayPal and all kind of things. Birdman is set up. So I'll my number is 762-6157. 762-6157. Just send me a WhatsApp and I'll WhatsApp the information to you.
Okay, will do. And let me say good night to Tulu, who I don't know very well, but I think Tulu has, because of his prayers for Dr. Daly, has found a way to get Dr. Daly back in the game. Dr. Daly has a very challenging week.
Yes.
And many has reached out to him under the circumstances to say, do not leave the game. There is a Napoleonic complex going on within the current NIA, trying to rid itself of opposition. And we need opposition. And the opposition is getting stronger and stronger every day. And we need for our people of Nevis to recognize that the Nevis Reformation Party and its leaders has always been committed to the least amongst us. We believe in educating people. And through that education, the people of Nevis will lift itself up every level as our country goes on. And so I am here as a strong supporter of the NRP. I want to vote that. And I want to say to Dr. Daly, go in the game. Do not get discouraged. They have targeted you for a reason. It's because you're actually making a difference. And they are afraid. They are shaking. And therefore, do not let this incident, bring your roots up from where you want to go and where you want the people of Nevis to go. And so I am going to, based on my own belief in the Nevis Reformation Party and my own belief that we need to keep our voice active. I'm going to make a donation as requested by my wife, and as Sarah rocks every week about our life.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I'm going to follow instructions, Dr. Daly.
Happy wife, happy life.
That's right. And so to each of you on the panel tonight, I say good night, and I will do my part to support the messaging from the Nevis Reformation Party. Good night, and bless all of you.
Good night, and thank you very much, Carl. I ran track with Carl many years ago when I was in sixth form. I think he was still in fifth form, but we ran on the track team together. Good athlete.
He was good.
Very good athlete. Okay. Very good athlete.
Well, he married Bath's finest, so she must have been enamored by his speed.
Kenneth might get upset with you.
Hey,
Kenneth Leiber might get upset
with
you because he would say he married the finest out of Bath.
Joyce is a different kettle of fish to Sharon. Joyce is a
I ain't getting in that. All of them are my friends.
1,000 miles an hour personality.
And I went to school with all of them as well. You know what I realized, Mr. Powell? Let me just say about Easter Monday, because I see we may run out of time. And I just want to say we're going to be having bingo games, grand prize of $1,000. We'll be having eating competition.
Eating competition?
Yes. Hot dog eating competition. Treasure hunt for the children. Raffling.
Where is it going to be?
At Newcastle Bay.
Okay.
At Newcastle Bay.
What time you start?
Starts at 12 noon. The fishers would be going out from about 4 in the morning, and they should return about 4 in the afternoon. And during that time, we will be having all of these games, beachside games, etc. And so it's going to be lots of fun. We look forward. We'll be having DJ Drastic, Judgment Sounds, and we are looking at what's going on because we do have Odyssey Band on the lineup. We just want to make sure that we can move forward with that. So it's going to be really exciting. I think it's going to be a good Easter Monday afternoon for the entire family. Lots of fun, lots of laughter, lots of food to eat. Of course, seafood, as well as your typical, grilled barbecue food and that sort of stuff.
So you're going to have fried fish and so on and so on.
Absolutely.
Well, I hope my boat will be in the water by then, so I can compete and show people how to fish.
We'll be happy to have you, Dr.
Let me make a couple of notices. The St. Paul's constituency group is having their first breakfast of the year this Saturday at the usual place at Bucko Park. And the usual menu, we have, of course, liver and saltfish, Johnny cakes, salad, local drinks, pancakes, and, of course, my special eggs.
I guess we're going to ask if
my special eggs will be back in the mix. And so that is Saturday, starting around 6:30. We'll be there at Bucko Park. We normally finish around 10, so please come early. And persons who are interested in ordering ahead, please do so we can get it packaged and delivered, or you can package and pick up. It's just $20. And then the following Saturday, Gingerland constituency group is having their breakfast, and at the same location, at just across from the supermarket there in Gingerland, the Best Buy, and they will see what St. Paul's going to look at going to be competing with them, and people are going to be able a chance to see who had the better breakfast, you know.
I think the jury is still out on that, you know. I think St. James is leading right now. I really do think so.
Oh, Jesus. All right.
No,
So
it's all good.
It's all good.
It's all
Mm-hmm.
It's all in effort to raise funds for the Nevis Reformation Party, and we have some good work to do, and so we need funds. And we are working for it. So Saturday, St. Paul's, next week Saturday, Gingerland, and then I also want to say a happy belated birthday to my good friend. And when she comes to Nevis, I tease her to death, and she hates it but loves me. Marvell, her birthday was on Monday, and so I wish her a happy belated birthday. I don't know how I missed it, but I will sing for her on Saturday since we're on the time.
All right. Okay. A lot of activities coming up by NRP. There will be some cricket on Easter Monday. Not too many games up at VOJN, and it will finish in time for people to come straight down to the fishing tournament, which will be happening down at Newcastle Bay. I hope that we get very good support for all of these activities. Let me mention that a very good friend of mine said, don't call my name, but gave me $200 US to put into the fund for 2020 Vision Radio. People are responding nicely so that we can keep 2020 Vision going, and we are happy for that. Again, we say happy birthday to Rhonda Brown down there in St. Martin, who bought us dinner this evening. And Dr. Hodge, I owe you dinner, because she did say to me, I didn't realize that you were going to have a guest tonight, because she would have bought you dinner as well. So I owe you dinner.
I'll take a rain check.
Yes. When I don't think Errol got my message. He didn't read the message early enough. But I do owe you dinner. Rhonda said you have to give Dr. Hodge dinner. So even if it's not dinner, when I come to the fish tournament on Monday, you just, whatever you want, I will pay for it.
I remember that.
Good.
Thank you.
Because Rhonda insists you cannot exclude Dr. Hodge. Didn't know she was going to be there, but since she's going to be there, you have to treat her. Her treat.
Thank you, Rhonda.
So, yes.
Yeah, it took Rhonda for you to offer me.
we have a lot of fun, and tell me.
Alrighty, so
okay, closing statements.
Well, I was just going to say, just as your contributions are taking their time and gradually increasing as we go along, I think there's a saying that hurry man eats raw meat, and the Nevis Reformation Party, we're on an upward swing right now. Many people would want to see us in office already. However, it takes some time for us to get everything in place. One thing I can assure you is that NRP is the party that has always included the people. NRP is a party for the masses. We are definitely the party that would ensure to the greatest extent possible that all divisions, each household has the same equal opportunity as anyone else. And so at this time, I am here tonight because of really the empathy that I must express with regards to the destruction that I'm seeing, recognizing that this is not the way that we want Nevis to be and to continue to be, even acknowledging that what is happening is not in the best interest of Nevis. It's very difficult even to get some sense of remorse or some sense of empathy from our government right now. And so just want to reiterate that NRP, we know what we stand for. We know that we stand for all of the people, and we just ask you to help us ensure that we can see the change that we need to have in order to put Nevis back on the right track. So the new hashtag is change must come if thine will be done. So change must come to Nevis, and we're fighting towards that. Thank you once again for having me.
I agree. Let's go to Tulu. I notice that his Bible is open, and he's looking down in his Bible. He has a page marked. Let's hear from Tulu.
Well, let me say, first of all, good evening to Rhonda. Continue to celebrate the rest of your birthday. Trust that everything went fine with you and that you live to see many more. Sunday evening, I was on my way to church, I was running a little late, but passing in the area where Dr. Daly Farmer was, and which I will still call is, I recognized that he was there, so I said, let me stop and go inside and take a good look at his farm. I was very impressed with the passion plants that was there and how they were growing, and it was excellent, and the future looked great, not only for him, but for us, the people of Nevis. But one of the first things that caught my eye was a water meter. And I asked myself, well, if Daly has a water meter from the government, how could the premier could be saying to people that he is squatting on a land that he has no right to be on, when the government issued him a government meter where he's paying for water? And so I concluded that the issue had nothing to do with the land. It is two things. One, a personal attack on Dr. Daly for the good man that he is. These are people with low character. These are people who have no class that would have attacked him because he dared to speak the truth. And then secondly, I said, this is a political ploy. This is designed to create division in St. Thomas's and in Nevis for a political reason. Now, one of the things the Bible states in this Christian community is that God hates people who sows discord amongst people. And all the characteristics that the government portray, especially the Premier of Nevis, are things that God claims that he hates. Sadly, too many Christians in this society lords the thing that God hates. But I want to leave with us this evening a quote from the wise man Solomon, who says in Proverbs chapter 28 and verse 15, a wicked ruler is as dangerous to poor people as a roaring lion or a chasing bear. And which what this is saying here, that when we have leaders who are wicked, they're just as bad as lions and bears or wild animals who will destroy. And this is who we are ruled by, wicked men, a wicked leader. Thank you.
Dr. Daly?
Let me in the first instant thank all those persons, I mean literally hundreds, who have called or sent messages of support. Monday was a dark day, but through your continuous calls and text messages and messenger and all kind of things, it made my life so much easier. And today, since Tuesday actually, I started to understand that people might not say much, but they think a lot. And the outpouring from across the globe of persons, if I haven't been on Facebook since I posted the video, I could not bear to see that video again. Persons have asked me whether I've seen it. I have not seen it again. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what all I said. I spoke from the heart. I spoke how I felt. And a good friend of mine, much older than I am, and he called me from all the way in the Bahamas. And he said to me, I thought I was tough, but you made me cry. And I had to apologize for making him cry. I didn't mean to. And all those persons who felt connected, emotionally connected, spiritually connected, I thank you for that connection, because it means our souls and our minds are connected. You feel what I feel, you saw what I saw, and you felt my pain. But I do thank you for healing me and making me so much better today than I was just a few days ago. And so the struggle continues. I want people to focus on what is now, which is a situation where our government, who we are paying to protect all of the people, have decided that half of us are of no value. They have decided that those who speak truth to power have no place in the society, that those who dare confront corruption, cronyism, selfishness, bad mind have no place in the society. I don't proclaim to be any big Christian, but I do have a moral compass. I do have an ethical bearing. And these guys have none, because you cannot be sanctioning destruction of another division for pure political gain. It should not be done. It must not be done. And it must not be accepted. I'm asking tonight, those persons who believe what I'm saying, I would want one of you, any one of you, to start an online petition against what transpired, not only against me, but also against all those others who have come before, whether it's Kiba Wade up there in Spring Hill or whoever else have been transgressed by this government. This government here, I know we don't have a clause in our constitution for a recall, but this government here needs to be recalled. And an online petition will be a good start in sending the message that we are sick and fed up of being trampled on in this country simply because we dare to speak the truth. Good night. God bless.
Well, this Friday, not this Friday, but next week Friday, Good Friday, Cotton Ground, the Honorable Cleon Stapleton Simmons will be hosting a kite flying competition right there on the ball ground on Good Friday. So if you're looking for an option, please join me in Cotton Ground. And as part of the activities, there will be a cricket match in Cotton Ground as well, the Nevis Cricket Association. We have a fixture where Pioneers will be playing against Calypso. And those are two teams from Cotton Ground. And so what we have decided to do is to put that match on Good Friday to be a part of the activities there. And so there will be some cricket on Good Friday as well. I have to have some discussions with both Frank Munzak and Derek Parry to find out what is the best time on Good Friday for that game, because we don't want to interfere with the kite flying, but we do want to have that cricket match being played on Good Friday over there in Cotton Ground, and so that is an option for you to go, and we hope that that works well as well. We want to thank the Honorable Joseph Parry for calling in with just that crucial phone call, reminding the people of Nevis who don't know that all of the lands in Nevis are not vested in Nevis Housing and Land Development Corporation, but that they are government lands vested in Housing and Lands and the government of Nevis. The Housing and Land Development Corporation is just a creature of the government, but those wet lands that they have first of all to be transferred from the government lot of lands to Housing and Land Development Corporation, but not just transferred for specific purposes. It has to state the purpose of the transfer. The CCM administration, they behave like a bull in a china shop. They don't care about anything. So they believe that anything goes. That is not how it works here in Nevis. I want to make the point that as I move around Nevis and move around the various communities, people might not be as vocal as some might want them to be. But the sentiment on the ground is that this high-handed state-sponsored terrorism, which has been orchestrated by the Premier and his cabinet, is backfiring against them. People on the ground are saying to me, listen, Nevis people are funny with land. And when you uproot a farmer and you say we don't care about you, you are sending a message to every single person who have ever pushed a fork in the ground, chop a hoe, that we don't care about you. And so it's just lip service that we are paying to you. The people of Nevis, we have to look at ourselves. And we are going to have to say when enough is enough. And I kept saying for a long period of time that the churches and the church leaders were too quiet. Dr. Daly, I'm so happy that so many of them called you to pray with you and to pray for you, because it says to me that they are ready now to call wrong. And too many of our preachers have been too quiet over an extended period of time. And Tulu, I know you always say that people should pray and so on, but the average man who goes to church don't want to hear what happened 2,000 years ago when Jesus fed 5,000 with 5 loaves and 2 fish?
Well, Dr. Daly found out in a couple of hours that this God of 2,000 years ago is the same God today. Work out things awesomely.
That is why I want our preachers to preach about what happened 2,000 years ago, but tell us what is happening today.
Well, that's the whole gospel.
Okay,
the point.
good.
The whole gospel.
We want to thank you very much for being with us and tell me. We always have fun when we come here on a Thursday evening. We want to thank again the leader of the Nevis Reformation Party who said, listen, just give me an hour, and ended up staying for past 2 hours. It shows her commitment, it shows her dedication, it shows her willingness to fight for the people of Nevis. And that is why we are saying to you, what's the new hashtag again?
Change must come.
I like that.
If thine will be done.
If thine will. So you see scripture in there? Yes. You see we connecting the scripture? Yeah, thine will be done?
Because it's connected to
if thine will be done here in Nevis, change must come.
That's true.
Because thine will be done would not happen under this government that we have right here.
We'll be back with you next week. Until then, be good, stay safe.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water,